You know how sometimes you try to shoot a video and you just kind of lose track of what's going on? This is attempt number 2. What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Nick and I like to talk about camera gear. And today I'm going to tell you about the best budget wide angle camera you can get for a full frame Canon camera. Now, I recently upgraded to the Canon R6 from the Canon 90D, and I wanted to get a wide angle lens because all of the wide angle lenses that I was using before were all made for crop censored cameras. Now, I know I've made videos about the Canon 10 to 18 and using it with a speed booster, but that's only good for video in that instance. You don't have the same digital stabilization crop-ins for photography. And one of the issues that I actually ran into with that setup was I noticed that the crop-in for the digital stabilization actually made the picture really soft and fuzzy looking, so I didn't want to do that anymore. So I was looking around trying to see like what my options were for a wide angle zoom lens, and the one that I settled on was the Canon 17 to 35 f2.8L lens. And the reason I did wasn't because it was the cheapest, because you can get cheaper wide angle lenses. Canon actually made a 17 to 40 f4, and you can actually get that lens on eBay for like $250. But this is the cheapest wide angle zoom lens that you can get with a 2.8 constant aperture all the way across. I got this lens on eBay for $400. I was immediately impressed with the sharpness of the lens, with it being a nearly 20-year-old lens. I don't know the exact year that this lens was made, but this lens did run from the mid-90s to the early 2000s. So it is about 20 to 25 years old or so. So for being that old, the image looks great. The other thing that I was impressed with was how good the autofocus is on it. Using it with an R6, you would be worried that the lens might not be able to keep up with the camera, but at least for my needs, the lens has been great. Now, there are other similar lenses that you can still buy new. There's a Tokina 17 to 35 f2.8, and you can get those new still on B&H, but those are, I believe, $500 or $600. So you're looking at least $100 or more to get the same focal length and same aperture, but you still have to buy the Canon EF to RF adapter. So if you're like me and you shoot a lot of your videos indoors, the 2.8 aperture might be a better option for you, because you will get a little bit more of that low light capability, and if you like the blurry background, you'll get a little bit more of that as well. If money is the main thing to you, then what I would recommend going with is a Canon 17 to 40. It's an f4, it is cheaper, and you're still gonna get a nice wide field of view for making videos or taking wide angle photos. Now, if you're wondering how the lens does in more of like a vlogging type of scenario, I have my Canon R6 on a Joby GorillaPod with the Canon 17 to 35 on it, and you can see it's plenty wide. Like there's no reason you couldn't do this at all. And I mean, it is heavy to carry around, but really any full frame setup that you use is gonna be heavy. One last thing, if you're wondering how well the lens works on a crop censored camera with a speed booster for something like an M50, or maybe you're using the new R10 or R7, you still have a pretty good wide field of view. I'm all the way out at 17, I'm using speed booster, I'm at f2, and it's pretty wide. The only downside to something like this, which is the M50, is there is no stabilization at all. So as you start to move around, like, it is gonna be a little bit more bumpy than if you're using something like the R7. So that's it for this video, but I wanna hear from you. Is this a lens that you'd be interested in trying out? Let me know in the comments below. And if you made it all the way to the end, I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching.